Hey there, how's it going? This is my normal work day. So we have a good number of people for the middle of the night. Yes, definitely. We will stream when we want to stream. Ah, 9 a.m. That's the middle of the night for me. Okay, so let's see here. Oh, I'm actually in game at the moment. So, okay, so I am going to be working on a number of things. We're going to jump right into this. I've been distracted by other responsibilities, game-related responsibilities, throughout the day, and I've been trying to get this thing done like since yesterday. So let's go right in there. Let's see. I need to. I want to get this thing down so I can see the chat better. I just don't know where to put it. Okay, stick it right here. That should work. Okay. Da, da, da. Trying to see. Oh, meeting Castellitos. Yeah, actually, I mean, if there's enough people, I'll go over there and I'll hang out there in game while I'm doing this, so the game probably won't be on the screen. So that way, maybe we could attract some attention and get the buff up there, and then we'll go into Unity and I'll continue on with what I'm doing. So one of the things we put out this month was the Black Blade player dungeon room, and that actually contains 3 different lava pools. One of them's like actually kind of like supposed to be a river, and I think another one's supposed to be kind of like that too. But nonetheless, there's 3 separate pools in there, and one's large, one's medium, and one's small, all contained in the one room. And the way that pretty much all of our lava um, damage triggers are set up, they're rectangles. So if you get kind of close to the lava, you might set yourself on fire when you would not expect to be. So, and some of those sections are bigger than others where it overlaps onto, let's say, dry ground. Um, so basically, what I decided to do was go in there and custom make meshes to overlay on top of that instead of using a box collider, which would be the rectangle. So now it'll actually follow the um, exact shape of the lava pools that are in there. And assuming this works, then I will apply that to the player dungeon room, and I will backfill it into Black Blade Pass. Can never say things like that. Then anywhere else that's going on, we could put on the schedule to go backwards and fix that stuff up. All right, there we go. So, all right, I'm currently hanging out over here by myself, but grab the buff for myself. See where it's at. Yeah. So it's currently weak. So if anybody wants to put the call out in the universe chat, I'll just be hanging out here. All right, so um, that's the first thing I want to finish up because I've actually been working on this for a few days. So let me get down here so you can see what's going on, and I'll go back in. So this all methodology has to end up putting things in a temporary setup. But this is the large lava pool, and of course you're seeing a lot of very bogus stuff. Yes, I have copies, many copies. Let's see if I can find the right one. Turn off the other two. There we are. All this and all right, so that's the one I want to show first. Okay, so this is kind of like in a medium state. So actually, I probably should show this one first. I think this is the original. So nope, it's not. Man, these things are not in order. Okay, so yeah. Oh, I see. It's the first. That's right. First one is two of them. So so basically, you see there's the ceiling and the floor, and this is the footprint of the lava river that goes through the large section of that room. So basically, all these pieces, of course, right now this is a merged, it's already kind of merged together, but all these pieces were like this. They're all these little square pieces that all fit together, and you can see that because they don't quite fit together perfectly. And that's when the mesh combiner puts them together, it doesn't quite make them mesh. So we have these little lines here. Um, when I combined it all together, I tried to put it all into one thing to make it all one solid piece. But it was very upset about this one thing in the corner because it had a floor, a ceiling, and walls. And it basically, I guess, couldn't figure out how to put it all together, so it left it as a separate piece. And then I manually put it together on my own because I didn't need a ceiling or the walls. All I really want is the footprint of this. So that way, the only time you'll get burned is if you're actually either right on the edge or in the lava, pretty much in the lava. So let's see here. We'll turn off these two, and this is nearly gone now. Yeah. All right. So after I combined it and got it all into one piece and deleted all the unnecessary stuff for the most part, this is what I was left with. And this actually didn't take very much time. I was actually chatting with Allium at the time, told her I was going to start working on this, and about 45 minutes later, this is where I was. Never attempted to do anything like this before, so it went very quickly. And the next step really is to flatten this and, well, delete all the extra floor and stuff, so that way we're just left with the river, and then flatten it and clean up the mesh a little bit, and then that's it. Now I have a collision shape for it. And I did the same thing. Get rid of that. Where is it? Oh, this one's managed. That's why. Why are these all managed? That's interesting. All right, we'll just turn everything back on. So this is the small pool, and you'd think that this would be pretty simple, but the mesh was a little messy, so I had to clean up some stuff just so I could go in here and basically cut out or create a floor for it. Yes, this one doesn't have a floor, it doesn't need one, and now that has a collision mesh. So I have both of those hanging out, and I am going to work tonight on the third one, the medium size. Okay. I'm seeing some information here. Just want to relay that, of course, it's a holiday weekend, so the prize delivery from the um, monthly live stream it was delayed. So they should be coming into in-game mail soon. Um, so come on, get back in here. All right. All right, so we get into my little temporary workspace. Basically, I took over a rock. This is prefab for a rock, and this is where I have the large pool set up. And I think there is the final. Yeah. So that's what it looks like in the end when it's all done. And this will be applied in the game right out at the surface of the lava. So that way, if you step into the lava, then you have a risk of getting damage. So that's what I'm doing. Yes, actually, Patash, we do test the performance because one of our devs actually is on Linux. So we are monitoring that every day, actually. So yeah, and I can't really speak to whether or not Wine. I mean, it doesn't seem logical that Wine would outperform Linux itself. But yeah, not really sure about that. Might be worth asking a question in the forums and stuff, and because there are a number of players playing on Linux, and I guess it could depend on what flavor you're on as well. But, I actually have a Linux test box over here as well, and I haven't powered that up in a while, but so I don't know. Um, where was I? Sorry, getting distracted. Even though it's the middle of my workday, basically. Well, I shouldn't say the middle, probably in about 2 hours. Because if you anybody who's been on my streams before knows about coffee break. At 4 a.m. Central Time, I have to stop because some of the systems actually do maintenance at 4 a.m. Trust me, I've been very tempted to move that that time around, but there's only a few of us who actually stay up overnight. So there's no real good time for the servers to do their maintenance. Okay, so what am I doing here? Okay, I need to bring up the Black Blade lava room. Discover those changes. All right, so here we are. Now this room is in the game, but I'm not done with it. I'm still doing some things on there. I got to get the um, decoration surfaces all finished, which I would love to do as a mesh. But if I do it as a mesh, then it's going to take a little bit longer because I need to do basically what we're doing tonight. I need to go in there and cut things up. So, like for instance, we're in this hallway. I'll just get some focus on this, so we don't have the lines all over the place. Turn off my selection wire for the moment. So if you're, like let's say here, this is the, one of the, this is entrance number 1 and number 2, connection number 1 and number 2, I should say, for the room. And this is a flat floor, so it would actually pretty much be expected to be able to oh, that's right there. That's better. You'd be expected that you might be able to deco here. We don't usually allow deco right up to the where the hammers are because it could interfere with the connection system. But um, so if I want to do that, this is one mesh. So I have to go in here and put in extra box colliders, which is the way we pretty much do it now in all the old stuff. And that adds extra stuff that lowers performance, blah, 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 all that type of thing. And anybody who watched the housing stream that Scotty and I did last, what we're intending to do is make the floors a separate mesh. And then, like, this is probably the worst example because these are tunnels, right? So the walls are probably not very decoable, right? And then the same thing with the ceilings. Now in these, the ceilings actually look like they might be pretty, there's some good flatness there. So what I would do is I would try to break these up into three meshes, floor, ceiling, and then the walls. And they'll still look the same as they do now in the game and everything, but in the source file that we use, the FBX, we would split it up into three sub meshes. So that way I could address them separately and attach the decoration script to them. If I attach decoration script to this now for floor, then you would never be able to put anything on the walls or the ceiling because it would think that the whole thing is a floor. And no, before you get the bright idea, items that belong on the floor will just be red if you try to place them on the ceiling because they want to get glued at the bottom and can't really flip those upside down. So it doesn't work that way. Nonetheless, so that's what I'd like to do with this, but that would probably take some time. So I might have to go through here and do some temporary addition of decoration um, decoration collision using the box colliders all over the floors and on the ceilings because the ceilings will be decoable, that type of thing. And then I'll set up as much as I can on the walls so that way there's some decoration space. And then I'll go back and I'll work on the mesh idea and then upgrade the room later. Yep, that's it. So, all right. So tonight we're working on this. This is the primary target. Uh, as I said, this is the big room here. So that one's ready. The small one's ready. Wherever the hell it is. Where is it? Oh, 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 that's the medium one. Yeah. So it's over through here. Yeah. So the small one's ready, and now I just have to work on this one. So here's what we're gonna do. We need to go in here and select all the pieces that belong to the medium one, and I'm going to copy them out and put them in my temporary spot. I do this because when you do mesh combining, there's a risk that it'll destroy the meshes. So I don't want to have to rebuild any of the rooms or anything, so I don't do it right in the actual room. Oh, all right, Path of Wolf. Actually, yeah, I was hoping that I had heard from you guys because I had fixed that thing up, and I thought that I got it all sorted out. What's still glitchy about the entrance? While you're typing, I'm going to start copying this stuff out here. I definitely could get squirreled very easily and go right over there and start looking at it, but that could be a bad thing. I wouldn't be able to get this done then. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off some things. So I'll highlight the hallway, which is not highlighting for me. Actually, no. Avoiding the swear words here. Okay, so I can turn that off. And actually, these wall pieces I think are separate. Let's see, are they? Well, that's just like in the other one. That's a big corner thing. Let's see what this is. Yeah. Yeah, see, that's what I want. Just that 4-piece. So I don't need this. Keep wanting to hit the delete key. I'm not intending to save this, but just in case, I'm just turning them off. Because you never know, I might hit the button by mistake. So, and even then, I could pull it back down from the project, but it's good to have a process. And this is all one piece. So why they made the corner all one piece, I don't know. But that's the old devs. Devs of the old world. Okay, so this should be it. So I just have to go in here and, oh, I'm clicking on the ceiling because I do have that floor ceiling thing going on. So we want this, that, that, and this. That should make up the whole thing. And what I will do is copy this. Now I could go back into my rock that I was working with. I just randomly picked a rock. So I'm discarding the changes from that room, so everything will go back the way it was before. And then I go in here, and then I just paste this in. Paste. Just to be organized, I'm making myself a little folder structure. All right, so now I have, let's see, where is it? There it is. So that's the piece we cut out. Of course, there's stuff in there we don't need, but we're going to have to do a combine and then get rid of the stuff. So of course, we are going to, and I'm just checking right now, everything good. Everything is all LOD 0. You notice up here that there's LOD 1s. What I did on the large pool was I selected the lower level of detail. That's LOD. So there's an LOD 0, which is basically your highest resolution, your upfront, you know, like zoom in and look at all the cool details level. And then LOD 1, which is meant to be, well, about the distance we are away from this thing now. And then from there it goes down to LOD, 2 and 3, and actually even 4, depending on what the thing is. Some of the houses we have in the game, the exteriors can go all the way down to an LOD 4 because they're meant to be seen from a long, long way ago, away. This particular set of meshes do not have LOD 1s, which is not really a good thing. As you guys know, I'm trying to clean everything up in the game, and the team and I have talked about this whole thing, and we have plans for optimizing all the textures and the meshes and all those things. And so when we start getting all the LODs corrected, right now we're working on anything I touch, anything anybody in Allium touches, and Laney touches, etc., will go in there and rebuild the LODs structure for that item. So that way we implement it correctly. And any objects like these that don't have LOD stages, there's a couple reasons why they might not. One may be, and I'll turn my meshes back on. Let's see here. Where's the mesh wire? All right. So see how these are called tries. The fact that it has a diagonal line in it, right? So if it was a square, it'd be a quad, and if it's sliced in half like that, it's a try. And in some situations, the tries are not needed. It just needs to be quads. In this situation, since the thing has multiple layers, levels, or I should say, it goes vertical and horizontal, having the tries is probably not a bad idea, though I think that some of the stuff at the top here can probably do without some of these. And that, anything that has tries on it is increasing the amount of load time and processing time and calculations and garbage that it needs to have. But this mesh is pretty straightforward. There's not a lot involved, except maybe on here. So like if this was actually expected to be seen from this distance, right about where we are here, approximately, then I would actually probably get rid of a whole bunch of this because you don't need to see the ridges. You don't need to see that it's got this bulge here because that's all that's doing is giving us the ability to have that three-dimensional bulge. And if you're a distance away, all you need to know is that's a corner piece. So there's definitely some detail that could be removed. So that's level of detail, LOD. And you could get to a point where there's like only like 5 or 6 different triangles or quads involved in here at a good distance. So this one will, no matter how far back I go, it'll retain that level of detail, which means that it puts a little bit more stress on your GPU. It stays in memory when it doesn't need to. So, and as you notice that these actually originally weren't named. Oh, actually, you guys aren't even seeing the names. That's why. That's why there's confusion. There you go. Now you can see. Um, so the LOD ones are up here, and that's on the big room that I was working on. And then these are all LOD 0. I renamed them to LOD 0 because by default, any of the items that were not in the LOD system just didn't have that suffix on it. So the game though gets very upset when it's compiling. It adds time into our builds. Our builds take 7 hours, and there's a ton of stuff that it's doing in there that if it didn't have to make adjustments on the fly for it, or audits it and then outputs all the log data. I mean, I don't know if anybody's a programmer out there, you'll know that printing anything to your screen reduces the speed of your program by 100 times. So if you have something that's just crunching data, you don't even want to print out like dots or stars or anything. Just you know, if you don't have, the users don't need to see it, just don't do it, and then it'll be done in a snap. So it's the same type of thing here. The builds are going, and as it goes through and builds everything, it audits everything to make sure that there's no significant issues that are going to crash the game or make the build fail. So what ends up happening is that it's writing all that stuff to a debug log. And it's actually sending that debug log over to a live monitoring system that, so if we want to watch the build going, we could actually see it and it prints it line by line. So that's slowing it down big time. So if we could fix these errors, that would make it not have to output that stuff, and that would speed it up. And it's more significant than you would think. Just having debug logs is actually slowing that process down a lot. Anyway, so I renamed them to LOD000 because I want to get ready to put them into the LOD system for the room, and I want to get ready to go in here and edit the meshes and make a LOD1 version of it at least. And that's all this one needs is one level down from the level of detail to level LOD1 or 001. And then that should be sufficient because again, these are not meant to be out in the open. I mean, there's a few places I think where we have it out in the open, but for the most part, these are in dungeons. So there's no real need to have too much of a distance on them. In fact, I mean, like about here is where I make the thing disappear. It's called culling. So I just turn it off because it's all it's doing is wasting resources at that point. So you can't see that room from that distance away. So there's other rooms and walls and stuff in the way. Anyway, okay, so now we have our components, and I've confirmed that we don't have any extra meshes. So if I did have LODs, they would be duplicates of these, and I don't want to combine them all together because that would just be a mess. So basically, I get rid of the any of the excess ones, and I choose the level that I would want to use for what my purpose is. In this case, I'm making a collision mesh, which does not need to have a lot of refinement details in it. So I don't need the extra lines. So I would use the least detailed version of the mesh to do my work on. In this case, we don't have any choices. There's nothing lower. And you can see how much extra crap is in here. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to go ahead and combine these. So highlight these and run the tool. And I just have to make some changes. Actually, no, I don't need to make any changes. So we have a total of 2,000 vertexes. Vertexes are any points where lines cross. There's going to be a vertex or vertice, and that's like an initial base count that tells you how complex a mesh is. After that, you'll see people talk about the number of tries or the number of quads, and it's usually going to be vertexes and tries are going to be the guideline as to what uh, what the complexity of it is, and for anybody who does 3D modeling and development, especially during our team meetings, we sometimes go shopping, for meshes and things. So, hey, if we could buy something in one of the asset stores that are out there, Sketchfab or whatever, that's high enough quality that we don't have to worry about spending the same amount of time we'd have to spend to make it from scratch to make it usable, then we'll go and do that. And so we go in there and we've seen things with 100,000 vertices, and it's like when you look at this, you see the mesh, and you could still see the texture, the coloration, and everything on the of what you would see in game. When we bring up some of that stuff, it's pure white. It's like there's so many lines, and we basically look at that and say, yeah, it would take us like 3 times the amount of time it would take to build that from scratch, to go in there and weed out all the extra stuff to make it, some of these things are they're insane. I think some of these people just make the stuff so that way it looks good, and they don't even they don't do anything other than 3D modeling, so they don't know if it's going to be feasible to use it. Or they're getting used in some of those very high end games that are not actually on computers. They're dedicated to arcade machines and things along those lines. But anyway, where are we? Yeah, so notice that this has 2,000, and again, you might not be able to read this, but 2,000 vertexes, and it's going to generate 2 meshes. I can't stop it from generating the 2 meshes. It should be 1, but the reason why it's 2 is because this one, as I said before, has a floor, a wall, and a ceiling, and because the whole thing doesn't have consistency, the combiner doesn't know what it's supposed to do with this. It's basically triggering it. So it just gives up and says, yeah, okay, that corner, I'm just leaving it alone. It could be its own mesh, and then you could go in there and figure it out yourself. So I'm going to change this to a simple mesh because I don't need it to be managed. This isn't like an ongoing thing. I'm not putting it into a big zone or anything where we might tweak it down the road or anything like that. So I'm going to make it into a simple one because I'm going to literally edit it, make it the way I want it to be, and then export it, and it'll be just a thing, and I'll be able to use that anywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and combine that. Just takes a moment. Let me go look at chat here. So what about through walls? Yeah, no. Darium and Wifey. That's the thing. So what we do is it'll still be loading LOD1, but if since this is gonna be like a player dungeon or even in our dungeons, we might have a more open space. So these same components, these pieces, those squares, would be that's like what we call a kit. So we could use it in different places. So the LOD 0 and then having an LOD 1 would allow us so it doesn't just literally disappear Like that big lava lake room that I'm making. Um, if you were standing at one of the long ends and you're looking at the other end, if we didn't have LOD ones, then all that stuff would be void. It would just go black because it would just disappear, and it would look like you're walking towards a cliff. So kind of think about when you're running in MMOs and the grass seems to grow in front of you as you're running forward. That's it's that type of a thing. So so for the dungeons, I definitely don't need an LOD2 or an LOD3 or anything like that. So it would just be LOD0 and 1. And I want to have it change from 0 to 1 at a pretty short distance comparatively. Yeah, and then after that, it'll just vanish. Exactly. So, and I could, we're not in a place where I could show that off right now, but I think, yeah, I deleted it out of here, so it wouldn't conflict with me. But I'll show that at some point. There's an LOD group, and then there's you can actually test it with a slider, and it'll pull the thing back and tell you when it changes to from 0 to 1 to 2 to cull, and then that's when it's culled, it's being disappearing. So okay, now this is created, and every time I do this, I get caught by this because I'm expecting it to put it right here in my list, but it doesn't. So I now need to go find that, and we'll go do that here. Pull this up here and get into the right spot. Um, well, this is so many steps. Um, there. Now in here. The thing is, I could edit the script to make it work better, but because this is a package, I don't think I have access to the source code for it. Not to mention that all this stuff is outdated, so there might be a newer version that works better. So I'd have it pop it right into the hierarchy, and at minimum, bring you to where the file is in the system. All right, now I have to remember, I think it's in the assets folder itself. Put it, or no, something called front end. Hold on a second. Yeah, maybe. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see if that's in. Yeah, there it is, combined. All right, now, of course, I've been doing a lot of these meshes. Gotta figure out which one it decided to assign this to. It's the small one. Yeah, so here we go, these two. All right, so it gave it to number 5 and 6. So now I can close that out, get rid of the utility, and it's going to be pink because we are literally just made a mesh and it has no textures assigned to it. So, okay. And I apologize for you guys if I don't see all the chat because, of course, keep looking up every once in a while. And I saw that Allium's up there, so if there's anything going on, I'm sure. And I thank her very much for hanging out. I'm probably keeping her from doing something way more important. Um, so this is not oriented in the same way or anything, but I think, I don't know, we'll find out. Okay, so I'm going to apply uh, um, textures to this, and let's go up here and add cheat. And we'll put face stone on it. I don't need it to look exactly as it should in, quote unquote real life. So I'm just going to take one of the red stuff won't be there is what I'm trying to say. Um, yeah. So these are basically sitting on top of each other. So if I highlight mesh 5, I can move it out of the way. As I said, it created two meshes. So what I'm going to want to do here is align this correctly. It's too high as well. No, it's not. No, that's the right position. So there you go. So that's what it looks like now. And there's a bunch of stuff in here we do not need. So now the next step is normally you can't edit this stuff in Unity, but there's a utility, another utility or a tool called Pro Builder. So I'm going to go ahead and convert this into a Pro Builder object. Let's see here now. Let's see if I can select both of these things without selecting that. There we go. All right. So it should be able to convert both of these into a Pro Builder object. That worked. That way I don't have to edit one and not the other. I could edit them both at the same time. So it's changed my lines from white to this blue color, which obviously doesn't really work out very well for visual stuff. But that tells me I could edit it. So we'll go ahead and we'll edit the floor here first. I'm going to go into, this is the face mode. And notice when the mesh combiner put this thing together, sorry, it's, again, the lines are dark, but they're quads. They're not tris. So we've already gained some performance, some optimization. I mean, I literally could go in here and make just a few edits. Like I don't need this, see how it's like a ladder, right? I don't need those. I could get rid of some of these ones in the middle and just make this one big square coming down. Because it would still be at an angle. It's like, what does that look like? Maybe a 3-degree angle or so. So the wall's not, perfectly vertical, but that'll stay. But I don't need these separations. So I could get rid of all this stuff on the wall. So I just have to have a line down at the bottom and a line down up at the top. And this will be my LOD1. So there you go. Morning, hey, I'm new. Yeah, so now I'm not going to do that now because I could always do this later. This is that would be scope creep. Try to avoid that, especially for me. I squirrel on a lot of things very easily. So, well, first things first, we do not need the ceiling at all. So I've selected this face mode. So each one of these is a face, and I'm going to select them so I could go eliminate them and delete them. There we go. Challenge to highlight as much as you can without highlighting the wrong stuff. So like if I do this, I think it'll unhighlight the other, see? So let's go in here and manually grab all those now. There we go. And just take a little fly around, make sure I got the whole thing. Looks good. So now, now I can No, no, there's a menu thing. See, there's a menu thing. Um, and I have to delete the faces. If I hit the delete key, it deletes the whole damn thing. So Control C is your friend. That's all I have to say there. So, all right, so now we got rid of that part, the ceiling, and I'm going to do the same thing to the floor. But technically, I don't really. I'm trying to think how I want to do this. Well, I'm gonna do it this way, just for edification, as it were. There's a quicker way here because I don't really need to. I forgot the control key. I don't really need to chop off this stuff right away, but it goes really quick. So why not? It makes it easier to look at the stuff. All right. This is actually still on the surface, still on the surface, still on the surface, right there. So that's where our wall starts. And just as a reminder, the reason why I'm doing this is that way people don't get burned by the lava when they're not standing right next to the lava. So I'm getting rid of all the stuff that is not actually part of the pit where the lava actually is. I keep wanting to reach to that delete key. All right, so there you go. So now we have our little bowl. And we need to go on and start getting rid of the. I think this is, yeah, the floor. At some point in time, I feel like I should say, and here's a happy little rock. All right, so there we go. Delete those faces. And as I said, we don't need the walls, we don't need the ceiling. So I just don't, well, this stuff doesn't really matter. So let me see if I could. This is our original stuff, so it's not using it anymore. So I'm going to turn that off. That way it's not in my way and it doesn't mistakenly get selected and modified. Because if I do anything wrong here, then I can easily just go back and click the button and regenerate the combined mesh again. So select the object first. That didn't work out very well. At this point, based on this is probably why I didn't want to combine it. It's like, and I will tell you that some of these things, like they're not really connected. There's all sorts of problems. You know, if Scotty were here, you'd hear all sorts of complaints about that. Wish there was a shortcut key for that. There is not. I checked. Again, old version of software, so maybe they fixed that. It'd be nice if they did. So now, as I get closer, I want to make sure that I'm not going to actually delete something I want to keep. So far, this is looking good. Here. Make sure that's going down. All right, good. Faces again. So now I can just get rid of the strays. have to do them individually. They'll also only highlight on the face that's facing the player. For anybody curious, that's called a normal. And it's not the normal that those who know what a normal is thinking it's a normal. In this case, the normal is the side that the texture is supposed to be painted on, the primary side. There's another type of normal out there that actually does simulates the bumps. So like you could even see in here as we're editing that it's obviously just like a drawing of rocky ridges and stuff on there, and but the normal map, when it's applied to it and then rendered in the game, if you're not literally trying to line your camera up with the wall, it will look three-dimensional. And I will tell you that once I compress this down and make it flat, um, it actually pretty much looks like it's still three-dimensional because of the normal maps. It's pretty funny. Well, funny to me. So this stuff too, as I've always said, this is the boring stuff. At least I think it is. Like, it's Zen, but you know, that must be the back. Those. And again, I'm being a little bit more for education purposes. I could be a little bit more brute force with this if I wanted to, but it's almost ASMR, right? Satisfying clicking and deleting of things. I never got those ASMR things. They do nothing for me. Those are good to delete. Those. Selected one too many there. I can unselect these now. No, see now I unselect the whole damn thing. It's put the mouse in the wrong spot. Damn it. Although, actually, yeah, that's a good reminder. See where this folder comes down in the game, you can't get down there. So I don't really need to keep anything past a certain spot. If I can find the right faces for this. Oh, I keep forgetting I have to select the object first. It doesn't work the way I would expect it to. Come on, mouse. Get back here. So I'm going to start deleting. Yeah, right about there. This isn't there, but all right. So let's see. Oh, yeah, that would work. I think I'm stuck doing this one at a time. So I definitely want to keep these. Once I delete the faces, it's not easy to put them back in Unity. I'd have to bring it into 3ds Max to do it properly at that point. This is definitely a cheat tool. It's if you were editing stuff in 3ds Max, it is not anywhere near as easy as this. So I just want to chop off the floor to where I'm gonna keep it. Delete. So now I know more directly what I want to delete and get rid of. Silver out there someplace. Getting close. Can't go down too low or it'll select the floor. That was a double face. This section either. Basically just making myself like a little tub. These are facing the wrong way. If I really wanted things to be perfect, I'd have to go back into the original meshes and actually fix some of the stuff because these are twisted around backwards. It's down here, this is already outside the room, because you would only be able to see what's going on in here. So this stuff here is got twisted, literally twisted, and it's facing the wrong way. Nobody would ever see it. This is the thing that Scotty was always complaining about, or has been complaining about, I should say, with the houses, where it's like, that it's like there's polys inside the wall. That's exactly what that is. Those are a number of polys that were inside a wall, and they're facing the wrong way, and that's why when you go to clean it up, it didn't even select them, so you have to move your camera around and find where they are. What a mess! What a mess! All right, so there we are. So after a brief period of time, I cleaned up all the excess stuff. We still have a few pieces of corner here and there that do not need to be part of this, but I'm not going to go crazy with cleaning that up when I'm going to, maybe a little bit. It's really the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to get rid of the wall. Faces. So, but this is our footprint. That's what the mesh, the collision mesh is going to look like when it's all done. Now, here's the thing. There's an intermediary step. Because I did this before I go on and do all the things, it's two different meshes, right? We have that one and we have that one, which why it's not showing me the mesh lines, I don't know. But you know, it's got them. Just don't ask me why. So I'm going to highlight the combined mesh 5 and 6 that it created. I did this, and so now I got the orange lines around the whole thing, and I'm going to go run the utility again. And now it says meshes to generate one, so it's going to combine the two meshes into one, and that's because the wall and the ceiling stuff on that corner piece is gone. That was causing it to be upset. And we're going to be at 2,248 vertexes, which is still high for what I want to do, because I don't need that to be for a collision mesh. So I'm going to go ahead and combine this. Get tired. I'll sleep when I'm dead, right? How you doing, Hemnu? 50 minutes to go. Yesterday, I was up until about 11:30 a.m. Um, so I pretty much just slept in the afternoon. And today, I think at the 4 a.m. mark, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. Is have to kind of get the sleep schedule back to something normal, which would be going to bed around 2 to 4 a.m. Okay, took a while for it to do stuff, but Unity, and oh, I did a bad thing. Yeah. Okay. Let's see, did it put someplace or what? Yeah, right. I don't even know where I put the combined mesh, but yes. All right, so I'm undoing what I did, believe it or not. Yeah, and remove the combined mesh. So I failed to change it to simple mode, and when I did that, where is you? Oh, it turned off the mesh renderer. That's why. There we are. Okay. Um, basically, what I ended up doing was created a manage mode, which I said earlier that we don't need that because we're doing a very simple object. We're not looking to make a big zone or anything where we go in there and edit things throughout the process. And if it goes in manage mode, it literally hides, deletes the source that I was combining together, and then replaces it with this script object that's in there, and you don't really truly even have the resulting mesh available to you. You can't export it, you can't save it. It's part of this managed thing, and it's saved within the zone file instead of as a prefab or anything. It gives me a headache. So I have to make sure that I turn that off. So go here, we got our stuff selected. And again, the thing I forgot was I didn't change it to simple. So now it's simple. I do combine now, and that explains why it took a little bit longer, I think. Yep, there it is. Done already. So now it didn't put it in here, of course. I'm going to leave these on for the moment. Get out of the way. And I need to go retrieve that combined thing again. Should be able to find that folder this time. Maybe. Oh, yeah, no, there it is. So I just added that. There we go. So now it's combined mesh number 7. So throw that in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide these over a little bit. So we can kind of see our stages that we went in. There. So there's the original, which is all those 4 pieces. Then we had to go to this point where we have 2 pieces, and we deleted all the unnecessary crap. And then now we have what's left, which is the 1 piece. So I'm going to go ahead and turn everything else off. Go here. See if I can find my stone 2 again. Let's drop it right on there. Several ways to do this. But so there you go. Now we have 1 mesh. And when it merged it for these 2 pieces, you may note that it added more vertices to it. I think we gained about 200. Now, I'm only looking to make a mesh that is basically the footprint of this, right? The bottom. So I could delete the walls, which is probably what I'll end up doing here. And then if I need to, I'll have to optimize the mesh and look for holes. So that's what we'll do. Go ahead and clean that up this way now. And again, this is just, I'm taking a long way around. There's other things I would do that would probably be quicker, but it's more of a, oh, I am missing a step. Did you see that I missed a step? The magic garden. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to change this into a Pro Builder object so I can edit it. That's why I couldn't even highlight it. So I click on the thing to Pro Builderize. There we go. And get that out of the way. Now our mesh is blue, so we know we could edit it. And I could highlight our wall and get rid of it. And for the most part, this is pretty, straightforward as far as what sections are wall sections and what sections are not. See, like that is not. So you have to be at the right angle to see it. So see, like some of this stuff here is curving down. So those are areas where you'd probably end up having to be absolutely positively in lava. So I'll get rid of that one, but yeah, I'll leave that off. I could always modify the edges when I go to actually put it in the scene. But basically I just don't want to delete any more of the stuff that than I really need to, because as I said, it's a little bit of a pain in the neck to put things back. I mean, Control Z works, but if it's something that you need to get rid of something and then realize 5 steps later that, after you've done a whole bunch of other things, that you probably screwed up and deleted one face you shouldn't have or something, then it's not really worth undoing all the other stuff. Then you have to take a whole bunch of steps to clean up the mess that you made. This one. And of course, I could delete all these right now, but as I said, it's kind of like a Zen thing. It's a little bit enjoyable to, for me, go in here and do all this. Oh, getting there. Yeah, I guess as a bit of a preview for this month, normally I go down to Austin about a week each month and work directly with Scotty on stuff. This month, my schedule is pretty hectic, so I am staying up here, and I will probably work with him remotely, and we'll do some streaming of stuff. At least we hope that we will do streaming of stuff when we're working on that. Do virtual stuff, which should work out. I was pretty happy with the way that we had this. Basically, we were both sharing our screens on stream, and then if one or either one of us wanted to highlight something so you could see it better, we would just take over the screen, and that should work out pretty good. We tend to get a lot done when we're working together. Get ready to order more hardware as well. Get the servers going. So I saw somebody in the I don't remember where it was. If it was in Discord or um, in the forums. Somebody was saying something about oh yeah, that's right. It had something to do with the whole get rid of private mode conversation that's going on, which obviously that's core code in the game, can't really do that. But the uh, the point there was that they were saying that So, and I don't even know how much of this is the reality of the situation where private, they said that private mode was added because of the fact that, during development, this would be like 2015, 2016 timeframe, when they were doing stress tests, the hack quests and all that stuff. Um, and they would see like add as many people into the scene, into the zone, and see if we could crash the game type of deal. So there are people out there who were saying something about like, oh well, private mode was added in because too many people in the game crashes the game. No, it's not true. It was part of the original design to have those optional modes. In fact, one of the optional modes has actually been removed, uh, back from 2016 to 2017, somewhere in that time frame. And don't ask me which one it was. I can't remember. So if anybody's going to know, Allium will, but um, don't really know about that. But I will say that the the aspect here was that yeah, I lost it. Whatever. Uh, yeah. So sadly, that happens to me once in a while. Somebody remind me what I was getting to. Um, it wasn't that. So not really sure. That's pretty fricked up. Um, yeah, I don't know what I was getting at, but I know that somebody was talking about that stuff up there, and um, about the whole private mode thing. But the private mode thing wasn't really what I was going on about, was it? I don't know. Whatever. Um, so yeah, private mode can't really be removed, and oh, it's the number of players. That's right. Yeah. That's it. Server stuff. We're adding servers. The server. I'm going to show you here. This. Yeah. This was the game server. This is the one that was failing on us back in, geez, what was it? February, March, April. That month that I went down to Austin like 7 times. I swapped this server out because basically this thing was just locking up. It was freezing, which it could be bad RAM, it could be the CPU, it could be any number of things that's causing the problem. But this server is from 2012, so this was the live game server. It had been all that time, um, and I swapped that out for another one, which is actually on the ground over there too, because that one had a bad nick. So we still ended up having issues with the game after that. Um, so it's funny that you mentioned that. I actually proposed, uh, own a part of history. So yeah, I was thinking about maybe auctioning it off on a telethon or something. Trying to get the slippers back on. So I don't know, but that's what they're sitting here for now for. And I off screen, I have huge, geez, what are those things like 5U? I have 3 5U servers that came out of the data center over the like last 5 6 years, and they're all sitting here. So um, yeah, I don't know. Um, but yeah. So anyway, that's what I was getting at there, is that the new servers we're putting in are 1,000 times better than the old stuff, and so the misnomer about like private mode and things like that, that was actually an intended design choice, not a band-aid for anything. And the limits on how many people could be in a scene had to do with the development servers that they were on at the time, and even that now, I think even with I think that probably wouldn't do very well with more than 150 people in the zone. But um, the server that we're on now is just a newer version of that. That's not, doesn't have a failure on it. So, and I'm moving that to be a virtual server and then putting it on one of the new boxes. That's like that one there. I have 2 more of those new boxes coming, and the 2 new boxes are even more powerful than that one. In the end, that one's going to be our one of our offline like archive servers and dev servers and a tertiary redundant server for things. So anyway, blah 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 blah. So, yeah. So let's see. Okay, so I highlighted all the walls, and so now I can go ahead and bring my menu over and delete these faces because we don't need them. And now, well, apart from this one little piece here that I missed, which that is the reason why I missed it, I guess is because it's, look at the angle. I guess that was a floor piece that I missed. That face, okay, good. I'm just, see, this is the thing, because there's something called back face culling where, like right now, this is another performance issue, guys. See here, I'm underneath, right? This is the floor. We know this is the floor. And if I go underneath this floor, that should be invisible because the players can't see this. So why are we drawing texture underneath when we don't need it? Yeah. And notice how blurry that texture is. This texture has not been optimized yet. So anyway, with all that said, there's even more work that needs to be done. So, and that's all mesh work, actually. I have to go through and was it mesh or material? I think there's a material switch checkbox to disable or enable backside culling. So anyway, as I said, it should be invisible on the other side. So that's part. That's why I'm spinning my camera around here to see if there's any aspect that I might have missed. So that way I know I've hit it with every camera angle, so we don't have any stray objects floating around. Because if I totally miss them, and this is actually, oh geez, I don't know if anybody remembers this. Basically, you could be in a POT. Which one was it? It was one of the island POTs, one of the island templates. You could like walk into somewhere near the center of the template and then just bang right into an invisible wall. And basically what it is that one of these types of objects was still floating around with there. So if somebody was, this is one of the reasons why I don't do the editing in a live thing, because I don't want to leave something behind. But again, you have to slew your camera in all different directions and make sure that you definitively have everything where you want it to be. Because if you leave something behind that's not going to be visible because it's invisible on that other side, it's still going to have collision. So you'll still be able to run into it and block you. So yeah, there you go. All right, so now we have our floor, and the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten this. Again, this is the older version of this. So I'll go here and just look. I want to look at my meshes for a second here. So because we may or may not have to, I'm starting to think we might not have any issues here. Yeah, that's looking pretty solid. Make sure I don't see any light through it, since we do have the back face. Yeah, no, this is pretty good. There's no holes in the mesh. Basically, where are we here? We got the tunnel. Yeah, that's the pool. So it would have been over here, somewhere about here. There could have been a line where the mesh didn't meet up and actually weld together during the combine. If you recall back in the beginning when I showed you the ceiling, that you could still kind of see the grid, right? And I zoomed in a little bit, and there was like a little thin line of background. So the meshes, the original meshes weren't touching each other exactly how they really should. And you know, but when they combine, most of them connected, but there could be holes in there. So what we're going to do next is we're going to flatten this, and if there are no holes, that's it, we're done. And we've now I just have to then I would have to convert it and make it into an actual mesh object that I could save off and apply it to the zone or the dungeon room. If there are holes, they'll become obvious when we do the flattening. So now I have to remember how I do the flattening. Let's see, go in here and go back into Pro Builder. Um, yes, can I remember this? I've only done this a couple of times now. Oh yeah, okay, all right, I remember. Yeah, I don't need this window. There is a different window. It's still part of the same tool, but it's another editor called a vertex position editor. So yeah, you can see that. Okay. Now, if I highlight, I can do it per, I could highlight per face, or I could change it to actually showing all the vertices. Come on. I hate that I have to click on the thing first and then highlight. It's just stupid. But yeah, this one's actually not that bad. The big one that I did, I actually had to spend like 4 hours cleaning it up. Of course, it was the first one, so I had to kind of feel out processes and stuff. But at the same time, it had a hell of a lot of extra stuff in there. In fact, let me see. This is the medium pool, small pool, the large pool, combined mesh 3. There you go. So that's what a collider looks like. I don't need to have any textures on it or anything, but this is after I cleaned it up. So ain't it pretty? Now, even if Scotty saw this, he would probably kind of like, you know, start to have a aneurysm or something because you don't when it's a collider and it's absolutely this is just flat. It doesn't even need all these lines. So at some point in time, I may go in here and start um, redrawing, but I'm going to have to do that in 3ds Max. Pro Builder it's a great band-aid tool and great for creating simple objects and things like hedges and things along those lines. But complex stuff, even when I make it flat like this, I don't have the easy tools to go in here and make a line to go directly across here and then directly across there to make this into a big rectangle. And because that's basically all I need to do is make it rectangle, 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 across the board because it's flat. It doesn't need all these tries. These are all triangles. Everything in here is a triangle. And it did that to me. I didn't do that on purpose. So I went in here and I started combining. It had a lot more lines. Sadly, don't I don't think I have a I don't think I have a screenshot with all the extra ones that I had in there, but it had like some of the triangles were so little and tiny. You remember I mentioned how it was like if you looked at some of these things, they'd be like all white, and in this one here, there was a section. Uh, Actually, interestingly enough, it's a section where that looks pretty sparse now, even though it's on top of that. You can see that there's a lot less. This is where there were like a couple hundred of these dots, the vertice dots. So all those there. And that uh yeah, that took a while to clean up. So we are now on here. Now I am seeing, all right, so you see how we have dots over there and it's like a grid, right? So it's, squares. And then over here in this section, there are none because basically what this is a zigzag that's going on in here. I'm going to change over the face mode so you can see there, something like that. And all this is okay. There's nothing wrong with any of this actually. That bigger one had all sorts of problems, but this is pretty much exactly how I would expect this to be, um, minus a few extra lines. So nothing I'm going to spend a lot of time on cleaning up. So bottom line is we are going to now go ahead. Hey, cat dude. We're going to go ahead and I'm not going to select the whole thing, but we'll select a little section here because again, this tool, I looked up the instructions for this. I was like, how can I flatten the mesh real easy in Pro Builder? And it's like, oh yeah, just go ahead and highlight the first. The Y is up and down, even though Z is up and down in the other graphing situations. Um, whatever. You're supposed to highlight this first one, and then there's supposed to be a way to right click it and select all in the Y um, you know, thing. But it doesn't work because it doesn't have it yet. In the newer version of the tool, they have it. So I got to do something that a lot of programmers do. Uh, is programming in a lot of cases is very repetitive. So the thing I need to make sure is that I don't put a 0 in either one of the other columns because I've discovered there is a bug. Actually, I could show you the bug. I'll do it there. See how it does that, right? And then I do a Control Z saying, oh no, I didn't want that. And now I'll go back and I'll do the 0 here. And oh, look at that wonderfulness. Isn't that great? So now do I sound like Scotty yet? So anyway, there's the way to get around this is I just have to manually go back and then keep doing it again, and then it's fine. But if I hit Control Z, it gets very upset. So anyway, as I said, it is a programmer thing. You get into a cadence, a pattern, and when you're editing a lot of repetitive data, you just have to make sure that you pause at the right time so you don't go and hit the wrong thing. And it's a lot easier to do when you don't have to tab through all the fields and stuff. So anyway, so now all those faces are set to 0. And so you can see what that means is that it's pretty much the depth of the lava. So now everything is up at 0 and it's perfectly flat. So if I go down there, it's in this case, since we have backface culling is not turned on, which I'm assuming is the material that's doing that. We could see it from the bottom, but if this was if the backface culling was see, there you go. Whoa, look at that! I hit it perfectly on the nose. So I could unselect. If I unselect things, it's almost if it's gone, right? But it's still there, so it's paper thin. But if the backface culling wasn't there, it would literally just disappear when we went down there. So now I just have to keep going and keep flattening the whole thing and bringing the whole floor to 0. So I'll go over here and I'll select the thing first, even. Okay, there you go. All right, so now we'll go down here. And again, if I do too many of them, it just gets to be a little bit of a nerve-wracking thing trying to do the pattern. I get bored. This is more fun to do in like an actual edit or even notepad. See, there. But I can escape. Let's see if that works. Yep. So just can't hit Control Z. Don't know what the hell. There's a bug with it. I think what it does, Control Z, I think it puts the data back in the field, but it doesn't really rewrite the data. Why did that 0 out? Oh, there you go. So I'll watch my time. So then when you go and try to apply new data again, it's conflicting and causes that weirdness in there. Again, not something we could fix because we don't have the source code for it, but It's actually technically a pretty stupid error that could pretty easily be fixed. If you want to know what helplessness feels like, be a programmer and then look at something that somebody did that's compiled and you don't have access to the source code and you're like, it's a one character change. I could fix that. And no, you're not allowed to. Sorry. I've even reached that. See how that looks like it's not flat? It looks like it's bent down here, but they are all zero. See, they are zero. That's so we have now the only ones left are these ones down here. So now I'm gonna go ahead and do this, and of course I could do this type of thing, but that's a little inconsistent. Might be a little quicker. Let's see. So, a big block of them. It's not worth doing the tab thing. If I could only upgrade, I'm really looking forward to getting us onto the newer versions of Unity. That will allow me. It's like some of these tools, like this one here. The newer version will not run on this version of Unity. So this Pro Builder, yeah, I upgraded this one. This Pro Builder is at the newest version that we could run, and it's actually already a hell of a lot better than what Portalarium had back in the day when they were doing this stuff. Okay, so there we go, and I'll scroll back up, make sure everything's zero, close that out, and then now it's a visual check because if we missed any, it will not be flat, and we would see things hanging down, which they are not. So there you go. Now, of course, the whole thing's selected. That's why it's yellow. There. So as I said, if you look at this, right, even without the depth normal map, and you look at this, it looks like it's not flat because of the texture, which is really, if you think about it, it's pretty cool. I mean, if you really look at it, it's obviously just drawings, but just looking at this, it almost looks like there's bumps and stuff because of the way the angles are and everything. But I can assure you that is flat as a pancake. And now I could actually, there's another tool in here where I could select the whole object. So select the whole object, and I could click on Set Collider, and there you go. Done. We now have a collider. So this is now a mesh that I could actually export, save off, and then I could bring it into the project and apply it to the lava pools, and the damage will be exactly where it needs to be. So there you go. The one thing that I'm going to do extra, because there's three of them in this case, right? I basically have it's a Black Blade dungeon, whatever it is, uh, Black Blade Adventure Zone, and then also the Black Blade Player Dungeon Room. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring these into 3ds Max, not to do any real editing or anything, but just to bring them in there, combine them together, and save them off as an FBX, because Pro Builder does not save things as FBXs. And again, even if you don't know what I'm talking about, FBX is pretty much um, uh, the standard format that is universal. So like I could take if I built this right here and I save this off as an FBX, I could hand this to a dev over at Cloud Imperium, over at Bethesda, whatever. They'd be able to use it because there's nothing proprietary in that at all. And the mappings are, even the textures and stuff, it's all standard. So what I want to do right now, these are called objects, and even though objects, well, actually not right now, it's in a proprietary thing because it's not even saved as a file that I can use. But when I save it, I'll initially save it as an object file, and objects are also pretty much a standard, but they're very old as far as the standard, and they don't have all the features like animations and things like that could be stored in an FBX, but objects can't do all the things. So with that said, and I do have up here we're down to 113 faces, 185 tries, and 151 vertices, and it says in parentheses 266. So I'm not actually sure what that's indicating. 151 times 2 is 3 something. So, yeah, I don't know what the 266 is, but it doesn't really matter. Point is that we were at 2200. So this is all we need we don't need any of the fancy stuff. I mean, this is really good. This is a great example. Maybe like see this line here that's following along here, that's not needed. So I would probably, I mean, that square's there. It's needed for this. This line here, I would get rid of this vertex. And in fact, we'll go ahead and do that. I mean, just to experiment, show you guys what it's like. So here, we'll go to vertexes, right? And even though, again, it looks like that's a bump, right? It's not. It is definitely flat, but it's the angle. And the reason why it's angled like this is because it was a bump at one point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this vertex. And I could do a number of things here. I could just move it around manually or whatever, but I'm going to highlight this one first, then I'm going to go to this one, and I'm going to go ahead and tell it to collapse. And there, now it's gone. And at least to me, that looks a hell of a lot better. Now, you don't want, you're getting a modeling lesson, so deal with it. You don't want to have more than 4 intersections on a face, basically like a plane. If it goes beyond 4, then the interpreters, right, the GPUs, well, not really the GPU, but the CPU when the game's running the engine, can get confused as to what side is up and if it's supposed to twist or whatever. When it's 4 or 3 or 4, 3 is the best. Then it knows which side is what and which side to apply light to it and things along those lines. And it gets a little bit more complicated from there as far as the reasonings behind it. But if you were going to make something that's all twisty, like let's say, I don't know why I'm thinking of this, maybe because of the zigzag here, but DNA, if you were to want to make a model of DNA, everything in that should be a triangle because there's no flat surfaces on it. It's all twisting around. So, yeah, or embers adrift. That's right. Um, so in this case, we don't really need any tries, but I'm not really upset about like having a couple of them here and there in there because it's not really worth my time to clean up. But I wanted to show you that. So we like even these here, and you may remember from my other one that what I did on the other one was I actually took like this point here and I collapsed all these intermediary vertices back to the center point. So all these lines would just come to a center there, and that's what I did on the other one to get rid of all the extra ones, because it was like this. And even some of these tries here are large for what was in the other one. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, see, it's like I don't like this. This really shouldn't be here the way that is. If anything, these two should be connected to get rid of that mess. If this was something I know wasn't, if it wasn't truly flat, then this could actually cause some confusion. Even though it still only has 4 points, but I don't think anybody would really leave it that way. Yeah. So Yeah, I could stay in the call, go away. Um, so I could do this. I highlighted that one. Then I highlight. Oh, oh, come on, highlight, highlight, and then collapse it, and now it goes back down to there. So I want this one. Actually, no, stop that. I want this one to be the. And this is gonna be interesting. There's no line there. I'm gonna see if this will collapse. Yep, it did. So as I'm doing it, I gotta count my lines, make sure, because like if I do this here, if I do this one here, I'm eliminating this triangle, and then we have a big triangle. So that's okay. And then this will be a big square, and then this will be a triangle. So just gonna reset here, make sure. The first one I click on is where it's gonna collapse into. So that's why I keep doing that. So there you go. See, now I eliminated a whole bunch of stuff. And then it's obvious that this doesn't need to be here. So I'll do this. As you can see here, it's not hard to do. Like these make sense to leave them there, that type of stuff. So, but this is it. I mean, I don't need to do anything more from to this. Anything from here is just me being Scotty. uh, so yeah, see how thin that one is? That's just this little triangle here just doesn't need to be there. That just should, as Scotty would say, it needs to die. Um, so and I have to be careful too, because like if I connected this one or this over here, it would pull this line underneath and cause issues. So um, this here, I could do this one and then that, and collapse it, and now that's fine. See, it got rid of a whole bunch of stuff. And then this one here, I could do it out here. Come on. Oh, stupid arrows in the way. There we go. Collapse it and see what happens. See now we have that weirdness there. And what I could do here is I just continue on now. Now you notice that this one's still highlighted, but I don't trust it. So that's why I re-highlight. And then I could also even go over here and do this. I could do more than one at a time. I do that, it's gonna drag those over. So see, this is an extra line that just needs to go away, but so there you go. So that cleaned that all up. Now, if I left that there, it didn't make it three-dimensional. It was still flat. But what it would have done is if the texture was applied to this, then you would have had like Z-fighting looking type of stuff, flickering and weird shadows on it and stuff. So same thing here. I don't know why they would have done this. You know, procedural stuff. It does its best to figure it out, but it never perfect. All right, so not doing anything with those. That looks good. I'm gonna just leave it. So we've reduced our vertices down a bit. I don't remember what our number was before. Oh, like one. I think we got rid of like 10. Yeah, I think we were like 151 somewhere around there. So there you go. Now that's done. Now I could go in here actually and export it, and I'm going to export it as an object, and everything in here is all standard. So I'm just going to go ahead and export that, and it's an object file, and I have a spot where I want to put it, but not in. I'm putting this into like a storage area for the moment. So I have to remember where the hell I did. There, okay, 5-point pass, and then there's the other two that I made, and just save that. I have another window over there, so I'm renaming it. Okay, combined mesh 7 will now be 6 minutes left to go. Good timing, huh? Okay, this will be the medium lava pool. Okay, there you go. So that's the end of today's lesson, folks. So the next thing I'm going to need to do, and because I have those three objects off in that storage area that's outside of the project, I don't want to. Basically, I could work on these files, and then it wanted to put it in an area that when I compile the game, those objects would be compiled into the game, but I don't need them to be, and I'm gonna convert them into an FBX, and then the FBX will be brought into the game. It's more efficient. It's kind of like compressing it and stuff, so takes up less room. And then we'll have access to all three meshes in one package that will be properly named, and then anybody who wants to use it in the future, they'll know that they could use it. It'll just be more efficient. So yeah, so that's it. Actually, I really intended to come on at 10 p.m. And as I said, I got distracted by other stuff that needed to be done. I've been doing research on an investigation into some issues with PayPal. There's a sporadic problem that happens every once in a while, but um, we found ways around it and everything. So and I think I figured out the real solution is as well. So just gotta go and talk to PayPal about that, get that all sorted out, and that should be better going forward. So that was one thing, and then I had the patch, the upcoming patch for tomorrow night, which I will have to wait until after coffee break. So probably about 4:20, I will do all the stuff to start the build, and that again that takes it's 7 hours for the build, including 8 hours to upload the patch. So I'll start the build up. I'll go to bed. I don't know what Allium and I kind of do. Uh, Staggered shift type of thing. So I don't know where she's at this point today, if she'll be babysitting the build, or if I'll have to see if the build worked when I wake up, but one or the other. And then, so tomorrow night around, pretty much, that's what Chris and I did. When Chris was running the project, um, I saw what I'm going through right now, 7,000 hats and having to do all this different stuff. Um, and I saw what he was going through, so that's why I started paying attention and saying, okay, what can I take off your plate? So, so he showed me how to do builds. That's one of the earliest things that he showed me how to do. And so then basically when he went to bed, which was, geez, he was an early. He would wait. He'd actually literally wake up around 3 a.m. As a standard. So he'd basically wake up, and then we'd get on and start talking and stuff, and say, "Oh, coffee break." So we'd both stop working, but and then I'd go to bed, and he'd take over from there. So yeah, it worked out pretty good. And Allium and I have pretty much the same type of thing, although both of our schedules kind of shift around a little bit. So it's a weird dynamic as far as that's concerned. Um, so there's no telling if we've both been up at the same time today or not. Anyway, yeah, so the intention is to publish the patch tomorrow evening at some point so you guys can download it, and it will be published probably um, uh, probably around 1 a.m., 12:30, 1 a.m., something like that. Um, I generally, like with the login rewards, I start prepping that and deploy that at like quarter to midnight on when let's say the 31st going to the first. Login rewards are supposed to start up at midnight. In the best case scenario, although, and I repeat this every time, we have until noon by our standard or our SLA, SOP, TOS, whatever you want to call it. The sales and rewards are not expected to go live until noon of the day that they were scheduled for. But I like to try since I'm up, I try to get it as close to the, beginning of the day as possible. Um, and the situation is that there are several times during the day or during a 24-hour day that the game is backed up, the database is backed up, and of course one of those is midnight. Um, and I've been talking for years about shifting that, and just like shifting the various scheduled times by a half hour. So because there are things I want to deploy on a day change. So basically, I have to go in there and I have to pause the backup, like at 10 minutes to midnight, and then do the patch, and then turn the backup back on and run it. So that would be the process for like even the login rewards. So for something like this, assuming that patch is really truly ready at like 9 p.m. or something like that, that's probably the plan. Otherwise, I'll wait until 1 o'clock after the backup is done, and then I'll deploy the patch. So it's like when I say that the sales are supposed to end at the end of Friday, that's technically one of the reasons why it could be delayed. It might happen in the middle of the night, closer to now, or if the patch didn't build correctly, which could happen, then it may even be delayed a little bit further. But anyway, yeah, and this patch is literally just going to be the sales end. So that's the crown's on the website, which is separate. That's not part of the build. And then the in-game crown store will go back to 20% off on its sales, and the deed upgrades the 20% sale for the deed upgrades will end tomorrow night. So at this point, you have about 18 hours left of sales. So you should probably buy stuff. Yeah, support the game. Buy Kodos. Buy war bonds. So anyway, thanks for the support. Thanks for hanging out with me. And ooh, wow, we got like 21 people in here right now. That's pretty cool. Yeah, good deal. And it's like I know a lot more of the European and Aussie folks are probably out here now, and it's one of the reasons why I don't like today. I would have started earlier. I still would have been here now. It would have been like a 6-hour stream, but sadly had these other things to get done. So you are most welcome. And as I said, I'm going to keep on trying to do this more often. So um, I know that I'm tied up for the weekend. So the next possibility is Monday, I think. Let me look at my schedule, make sure that there's nothing wacky going on here. Yeah, yeah. Monday or Tuesday, we'll probably. I'll try to aim for another work stream. Yeah, so there's definitely way more stuff to do. As I said, this is the Black Blade player dungeon room primarily that I'm working on to refine it and get all the next thing is the decoration surfaces, and then that room should be pretty much done. Um, it's like it's production ready now. That's why it's in the game. But these are the things that make it even better. And then the next thing to move on to will be the lava lake room to finish that up. And what I think, if I started earlier today, what we probably would be doing right now is we would have been going into the lava lake room and taking the lava duct, lava stream that runs through there, and it's several meshes. And we would have used this combiner thing to combine them all together and edit stuff so that way the lava flowed together. Like, I'm trying to do this where I'm assuming you guys know what I'm talking about. But so, like you have the aqueducts and they have like a T intersection on the aqueduct, right? So the lava's coming this way and the lava's coming this way. And right now, it literally looks like a Y, a seam that looks like a Y where the lava meets and goes down the thing. So what I want to do is I want to change the mesh so it really looks like the lava's flowing together down that T intersection. And I think it's going to look pretty cool. That plus, any where the lava falls off um, uh, the uh, the ends of the aqueduct or lava duct into the lava lake below. Water being water, right, will if it's falling off of a flat surface, it will basically retain that and be a sheet of water falling down. Lava doesn't do that. Lava's gonna is viscous, so it basically will coalesce and become more of a tube. So we're gonna, you know, that's what that's what we will be doing on Monday or Tuesday, or hopefully Monday or Tuesday. So we'll see what happens with that. And then I have a whole bunch of other minor stuff that we could do. I have tasks that have been assigned to me for subscriber rewards and login rewards and things along those lines, which I won't tell you what the things are that I'm working on, but I'll, as we're working on them, you'll know what I'm working on, but not what they're for or when they're coming out. Because I do have some of them will be obvious. I'll tell you right now, I have gift boxes um, for Yule. Um, yeah, gift boxes for Yule that need to be done. And while I'm there, once I do those, I might as well do like Valentine's Day as well. So I'll get these things ready. And this is in the bigger scheme of things. This is what the team as a whole is. We're all trying to do um, right now is get ahead. And so when we have certain seasonal things, and we're making sure that we're doing all the seasonal versions and things along those lines. So that way we could pre-populate things into our game database. So that way when it comes time to do the rewards, we're not spending half our development time working on items where we could be working more on stuff like this. So anyway, once again, thank you very much. And you're yeah, and I'm hoping to make it not rare. So that's the thing. So anyway, once again, thanks a lot. And he's let me. If you ever let me, I'll just keep on talking. So all right, night guys. Talk to you later.